Welcome to Ryan's in Millis, Massachusetts for the final match in the Pro Series Skins Game Tournament. In this match, Nick Norcross, Craig Holbrook, Mark Ricci, and Brian Feist will go against each other for the title of Pro Series Skins Game Champion. And also, in each box, an extra $100 is on the line. In the Skins Game format, $100 will be awarded anytime one bowler wins a skin by having a higher score in that box than any of the other three bowlers. And the way it works is that if there are two bowlers tied for the highest score, then the skin carries over to the next box. And Mark Ricci on lane 15 records a spare, converting this 1, 2, 7, 8, 10. And you'll see how he does it right there, very clean. So that means that Craig Holbrook and Nick Norcross have opportunities to make spares to carry the skin over into the second box. And Craig doesn't make the spare, but Nick does. He just clips that 7 pin, so the skin will carry over to the second box. So Craig Holbrook with a 10 and Brian Feist with a 7 against the spares by Mark and Nick. And in this tournament, each of the bowlers made his way through a 5-game qualifier and then a couple of rounds of match play. Mark Ricci drops 8 on the spare. Nick Norcross punches through the middle for a spread eagle for 4. Brian Feist with a nice try on that half Worcester. Doesn't quite make it, but gives it a good bid. And Mark Ricci with the spare in the second box. So that's going to mean that he's looking at 2 skins and $200 if nobody else makes a spare. And as you can see, Craig Holbrook and Nick Norcross are both going to be open. So Mark Ricci picks up $200. And we'll take a look at the scoreboard after 2 boxes. Mark Ricci is off to a fast start with 28 through 2 plus a ball. And second place is Nick Norcross with 22. So Mark is out to a good start. He seemed very determined before the match. I overheard him tell a friend that he wasn't particularly concerned with the money, he wanted the W. Mark is all about the win. That's another 8 drop by Mark Ricci. That gives him 36 after 2. And Brian Feist with a really tough break. He had 7-10 with no wood off a nice pocket hit. Craig Holbrook is going to be open in the second. And, well, everybody's going to be open in the third, rather. Brian Feist with a 10. 9 for Mark Ricci. Let's see if anybody else can make a 10 box and carry over this skin, or will Brian win it with a 10 box? And Brian Feist will win the skin and $100 with a 10. Everybody else had 9 in the third. And there is a strike by Brian Feist. That's much more likely to win a skin than a 10 box, but as you can see, really nice 1-2 pocket hit, a lot of sidewall action, and the 6 pin is the last one to go, and that's a strike for Brian Feist in the fourth. That gives him 37 plus the strike fill. Mark Ricci does not strike, and doesn't look like, well, Craig Holbrook drops 9. Nick Norcross with an 8 drop. So Brian Feist will win another skin and another $100. 2-2 in the skins department. Craig Holbrook with the spare. And Nick Norcross also with the spare in the fourth. Mark Ricci works out that spread eagle for 10. Mark has 55 through 4. Nick Norcross with 41 plus a spare. You can see Craig Holbrook 39 with a spare up, and Brian Feist with 37 with a strike up. So we move on to the 5th box. Brian Feist working on that strike. Brian misses the head pin, leaves the 4 horsemen right plus the 8, otherwise known as a Caleri. Mark Ricci with a 4 horsemen left side. Craig Holbrook working on a spare. He drops 6, leaving 1, 2, 9, and 10. Nick Norcross also on a spare. He's got 9. He's got the 2 pin with a piece of wood. And a great try by Brian Feist there to not quite get the Caleri. And Mark Ricci with the spare, threatening to win another skin. Craig Holbrook with a nice bid. And Nick Norcross with a spare, so the skin will carry over. Once again. Brian Feist with 9, Craig Holbrook with 10. So Mark and Nick Norcross both with spares in the 5th. Brian Feist, again, in just about the same spot as he was last time, but this time he doesn't have... And there is a strike by Mark Ricci in the 6th. Really nice 1-2 pocket hit, as you can see here. Very, very solid. And that is a strike in the 6th. That gives him 85 through 6 plus the strike fill. And unless Craig Holbrook or Nick Norcross can throw a strike, it'll mean another skin, actually another 2 skins for Mark Ricci, because the one in the 5th box carried over. So he's now got 4 skins against 2 for Brian Feist and none for Craig and Nick. Brian Feist with a 10 box. Craig Holbrook looking at the 10 pin. He's got it. 65. And Nick Norcross with 9. So as you can see, through 6, Mark Ricci is starting to run away with this thing. He's got 85 plus a strike fill, and Nick Norcross with 77, and Craig Holbrook and Brian Feist both with 65. So Mark is really in the driver's seat now. Let's see what he can follow up with. Well, there is another strike by Brian Feist. Great shot. 1-2 pocket. Mark Ricci misses the head pin, leaves the 1, 2, 4, and 10. And let's take another look at the strike by Brian Feist, which is going to win him a skin in the 7th because nobody else had a strike. So it's another $100. He's got 2 of them. And there is a nice shot by Mark Ricci for the spare. Look at this, just about a perfect shot. Kicks that head pin off the wall, takes out the 10. Great shot. That's 3 marks in a row for Mark. And through 7, he has got 105 plus a ball. And there's a nice spare by Nick Norcross in the 7th. Let's take a look at this shot by Nick. He's got this 4 drop, not a very good first ball, but he comes right back and converts the spare. Very clean right there. So Nick has 87 plus the spare fill through 7. Let's see what Brian can do on this strike that he threw in the 7th. Goes kind of high, gets a little bit of a splash, leaves a 6-10. Mark Ricci working on the spare. He's got 8 also, and he leaves a 4-7 with some nice wood in front of it. There's a 9 drop by Craig Holbrook, leaving a 3 pin. Nick Norcross comes up full on the head pin, drops 7, leaving a 2-4-7. That gives him 94 through 7. Another spare by Mark Ricci in the 8th. So he is really taking this one and just running away with it. We'll take another look at the scoreboard in just a moment. Craig Holbrook converts the spare, so the skin will carry over. And let's take a look at the scoreboard once again. And you can see Mark Ricci really has this match by the throat at this point. 123 plus the spare fill, and nobody's within 20 pins of him. So unless somebody can really mount a charge in the last 2 boxes, Mark Ricci is in good shape to win this tournament and the title of Pro Series Skins Game champion. Another strike by Mark Ricci. So let's go right to the replay on this one. You can see once again he's in the 1-2 pocket. Lots and lots of sidewall action. 10 pin is the last one to go, and that is it's another strike. It's his 5th mark in a row. And it will be, well, let's see. Craig Holbrook drops 8, and Nick Norcross with a 3 drop. So that'll be another 2 skins for Mark Ricci. He has 6 now. Brian Feist has 3. And let's take a look at both of these spares. A nice shot by Brian Feist on this 1-2-10. Very clean there. And Craig Holbrook with a spare that's not very clean. I don't know what actually knocks the 7 down. I looked at this several times, and I'm really not sure, but something nips the 7 from behind, and it comes off the wall and takes out the 4. So it's a spare for Craig Holbrook in the 9th. But looks like this is just the Mark Ricci show right now. There's nobody's going to catch him, but there is one more skin at stake in the 10th box, so that's $100, not to be taken lightly. And Brian Feist with a 5 drop, kind of a bouncing ball on that spare, gives him 109 through 9. Mark Ricci misses the head pin, as does Craig Holbrook. Nick Norcross with a light 1-2 pocket hit. And a great shot by Brian Feist to the spare. We'll show you that in just a minute. Let's see if anybody else can match the spare. Mark doesn't, and Craig doesn't. Let's see if Nick can do it. Not quite. So Brian Feist is going to win the last skin of this match. That gives him 4 for an extra $400, and that's a great shot right there. So Mark Ricci with 10, and that is a 162 game. Craig Holbrook also with a 10. That gives him a 116. Nick Norcross finishes with a 119 game. And Brian Feist fills that spare with an 8. So Mark Ricci accepts the congratulations from the fans and his wife Melissa, a terrific bowler in her own right. And we look at the scoreboard. You'll see it's a 162 game for Mark Ricci and 6 skins to go along with that for $600. And second place is Brian Feist with 4 skins and 127. Nick Norcross is third with 119, and Craig Holbrook is fourth with 116. So Mark Ricci is the winner and Pro Series Skins Game champion.